In this video, we're going to talk about basic list operations. So to start with, let's create a point, construct a point. Let's create a series of points using the series battery. And this by default gives you 10 numbers from 0 to 9. If we use the values as x and y coordinates, you can see that we can get 10 points, which are 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, and so on. So these are the 10 points. When you hover mouse over the output, you can see the coordinates of the points. Now, this is a list of points. Sometimes you might want to inspect or just select a single point or some of the points. To do that, we can use the battery list item to select specific items from the list. Plug that point into the list. And the second input for list item is the index. By default, it's set to 0. So now you can see that I'm only selecting one point, which is the first point. The index is 0. And in Grasshopper, the index starts from 0. As you can see from here, that the index are from 0 all the way to 9, which are 10 points. We can select the point at other indices. For example, if I use a slider 0 to 9, plug that into the index, you can select the point at the index you want. So as you scroll down the slider, you can see that you can select a specific indexed point. You can also select multiple points if you use multiple indices. For example, if you want to select 3 and 5, and in this case, you need to set this panel to multi-line data and plug that into index I. So you notice that when you connect a value into this input value, this will automatically disconnect the existing connection. So in this case, I have index 3 and 5, which are these 2 points. Sometimes it's important to retrieve the length of the list. In that case, we can use the component called list length. And this will give you the number of items inside the list, which is 10. Inside the list, the points are ordered internally, and we can visualize the order by using a component called point list. So once you plug in the points into the point input, and there are numbers showing the indices of the points. Currently, the size of font is too small. We can use slightly larger font to check the indices of the points. Now you can see that the first point is index 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Sometimes it is useful to shift the index. To do that, we can use a battery called shift list and connect the point into the list. The next input is the number of shifts you want to perform. By default, is 1. So once you shift by 1, and I'm going to plug in this list into this point. And please pay attention to all the index on your Rhino viewport. It starts from 0 here, but once you shift by 1, the list of points starting from this point here, from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 8, and 9 would be the point that used to be the first one. This is due to the parameter wrap is set to true. If you set this to false, then it's not going to wrap around, but rather end at the end of the list. Both could be useful depending on what you want. Sometimes it is useful to remove certain items from a list. In this case, we can use Cull index component. So for example, from this list of points, I want to remove the first point and then leave the rest of it. In that case, I can set the index of the point I want to remove to 0. And you can see that inside this, you have all the points but indexed to 0. And if you change the index, it's going to remove only the point with that index. You can also remove points based on a pattern. In that case, you can use a Cull pattern. By default, it is set to false, false, true, true, as you can see in the panel, meaning that it's calling the first two and then selecting the next two and calling the next two and selecting next two and so on. So if I can also set the pattern to true, false, set that to multi-line data, and set that to the pattern, then you'll see that it's selecting every other point starting from the first one.